Welcome back. Today we're detailing GDPval. It's a new evaluation just launched by OpenAI. They took 44 regular tasks from occupations. It's a benchmark evaluating AI model capabilities on real-world economically valuable tasks. The GDPval covers the majority of the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics work activities for 44 occupations across 9 sectors, contributing to the U.S. GDP, gross domestic product. Basically, it's testing all the different large language models, all the top competitors, OpenAI, Grok, all of them. And they're testing it against 44 different real-world occupations, and they're using experts that have experience averaging on 14 years experience to manage this. There's a growing debate about how increasingly capable AI models could affect the labor market. And the OpenAI paper contests that GDPval, a benchmark evaluating AI model performance on real-world economical valuable tasks. The GDPval covers the top 9 sectors contributing to U.S. occupation in the gold subset across 44 occupations. There are 5 tasks per occupation in this gold subset. They even had experience automated grader service for 220 open source gold subset tasks. They focused on realism, representative breadth, computer use, and multimodality, subjectivity, and no upper limit, with long-term horizon difficulties. Tasks required an average of 7 hours of work for an expert professional to complete. On the high end, the tasks span up to multiple weeks for work to be completed. And first, they identified the sectors that contributed most towards the U.S. GDP, and then they sourced the tasks drawn from the highest earning knowledge of work occupations within those sectors. So they basically selected 5 occupations within each sector that contributed most towards total wages and compensation and are predominantly digital tasks. They took a task-based approach to determine if an occupation should be classified as predominantly digital. Specifically, they identified all tasks that an occupation from ONET, a database for occupational data defined as tasks from the U.S. Department of Labor. They used GPT-4o to classify each task, whether it was digital or non-digital. And then they classified the overall occupation as digital if at least 60% of the competent tasks were digital. To calculate the percentage of this, they weighed tasks by relevance, importance, and frequency scores for each reported task in the ONET task ratings. So what kind of occupations did they go for? Well, real estate and rentals and leasing. They specifically did concierge, real estate sales agents, real estate brokers, counter and clerks. They then moved on to software developers, lawyers, accountants, and auditors, computer and information systems managers, project management specialists, and then they went into the pharmacists and general occupation managers, private detectives and investigators, first-line supervisors of retail sales workers. They got into the government sector where they focused on recreation workers, compliance officers, first-line supervisors of police and detectives, administrators, service managers, family, child, and school social workers. Then they jumped into the healthcare and social assistants with registered nurses, nurse practitioners, medical and health services managers, and first-line supervisors of office and administrative supportive workers, along with medical secretaries and administrative assistants. Then they moved into the wholesale trade where they focused on sales managers, order clerks, sales representatives. They also focused on wholesale and manufacturing technical and scientific products. And then they focused on sales representatives, wholesale and manufacturing, except technical and scientific products. They kind of left those out for a bit. And I'm sure they're going to be coming in soon. But they did focus on first line supervisors and non retail sales workers. Then they moved in to the manufacturing sector, focusing on mechanical engineers, industrial engineers, buyers and purchasing agency. They focused on shipping, receiving, and inventory clerks, first line supervisors, and production and operating workers. Then they moved over to finance and insurance, focusing on customer service representatives. We all know that AI is pretty good at that nowadays. And then they moved on to financial and investment analysis. I don't know if you want to trust AI with your financial investment analysis yet, but it could be coming in soon times, according to these benchmarks. Financial managers were also focused on personal financial advisors, securities, commodities, and financial services of sales agents. And they focused on information producers and directors, film and video editors, and news analysts, reporters, and journalists. Well, if you're a journalist, how are you using AI? Tell us in the comments below. They also focused on audio and video technicians. You see, the thing is, these experts were required to have a minimum of 4 years of professional experience in their occupation and a strong resume with a demonstrated history of professional recognition, promotion, and management responsibilities. The average expert had 14 years of experience, and they further required experts to pass a video interview, a background check, and a training, and along with a quiz to participate in the project to make sure that they were truly experts in their field. So this task, creating the GDPval task, consisted of two primary components. It consisted of a request, often with reference files, and it also consisted of deliverables, that final deliverable work product, the outcome that would result. And as the experts, they classified their requests against the ONET occupational tasks for their occupation to ensure that broad and representative coverage across all tasks of the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics in 2025 were met. So these tasks, they underwent multiple rounds of review to ensure realism and quality. All 1,320 tasks in the full GDPval set went through an iterative review pipeline involving both automated model-based screening and multiple stages of human expert review. And each task received an average of 5 human reviews with a minimum of 3 reviews. Every task was reviewed by at least 3 humans. And across all stages of the review, experts provided detailed comments. They were iteratively revised before subsequent reviews to enhance quality and representativeness in detail. The grade of the 220 open source gold subset, they conducted a blind expert pairwise comparison where experts in the relevant occupation were presented with a request and reference files and asked to rank 2 or more unlabeled work deliverables that should be achieved when giving those reference files and the request. And on average, grading for each comparison for the gold subset, it took over an hour. Additionally, occupational experts were sourced to grade human and model deliverables. Experts provided detailed justifications for their choices and rankings, which enabled OpenAI to compute their headline win rates for various models compared to human experts in competition. So here's their results. You can see here, Claude Opus 4.1, it got a 47.6 rating. That was almost right up there with that 50% of the parity with the industrial experts. Very close, less than 3% under them. And GPT-5, it got a ranking of 38.3%. Whereas if you go all the way down to GPT-4, it got 12.4%. So this proves that their new AI models are definitely improving. They're improving on pretty much all benchmarks, as you can see. On human pairwise comparisons, models are beginning to approach parity with industrial experts on the GDPval gold subset. So the GDPval gold subset with the AI frontier model performance over time, you can check it out. The parity with industrial experts is at 50%, and GPT-5 high is right up here, almost at 40%, probably around 38% or so. And that's in September of 2025. So you can see that the performance of OpenAI frontier models is increasing roughly linearly over time on the GDPval gold subset. So why were they doing this? Well, they aim to keep comparisons as blind as possible. But, however, as you know, some models, they may have certain identifying characteristics to their writing capabilities, such as OpenAI. Their models often love to put out those M dashes. And I'm telling you, if you're using AI to be writing papers and all that, that's kind of a telltale sign that AI wrote your paper. Those M dashes. Do you ever normally write with M dashes in between? Well, there's that to think about. So basically, they built a clustering pipeline to analyze why experts preferred or rejected GPT-5 High, Claude Opus 4.1, Gemini 2.5 Pro, and Grok 4 deliverables, as shown in figure 8.5, which is right here. Now you see, across all models, experts most often preferred human deliverables because models failed to fully follow instructions on the GDPval tasks. Can you believe that? Have you ever tried to prompt a large language model and starts off great and then just goes off the rails, doesn't follow the tasks that you set for it? Well, apparently that's a main issue that they're having. So they're working through it. But they did actually make an experimental automated grader publicly available at evals.openai.com, where you can actually go in here, and this is their evals.openai.com, and you can check out their GDPval that was just released yesterday, September 25th, 2025, where we introduce GDPval, an evaluation assessing AI model capabilities on real-world economically valuable tasks. GDPval covers the majority of the U.S. Bureau and Labor Statistics work activities for 44 occupations that we listed across the top 9 sectors, contributing to the U.S. GDP, gross domestic product. Tasks are constructed from the representative work of industrial professionals on an average of 14 years experience. They found that frontier models' performance on GDPval has been improving roughly linear over time. That's definitely notable when the GPT-4o that everybody loves got a little bit over 12%, whereas GPT-5 was up in the 40 percentile range, 40 plus percentile range. The current best frontier models are approaching industry experts in deliverability quality. So, are you going to be using large language models a little bit more for your deliverables, or do you not quite trust it yet? Tell us in the comments below. Because, they used open source for a gold subset of 220 tasks also, and provided a public automated grading service, which is listed at this evals.openai.com. You can see their benchmarks here. You can see the SWE Lancer report, their MLE benchmarks, their software development benchmarks on the SWE test. So you can check out all the benchmarks here at evals.openai.com. The key to this is that there are some limitations. The data set for the GDPval full set currently consisted of only 44 occupations, though they were occupations that the majority of people are encompassed in. They had 30 total tasks per occupation, and therefore it is limited. The initial cut of knowledge of work tasks is not really a comprehensive evaluation for all possible occupational tasks, but they are expanding on the dataset size. When you focus on the dataset, they created a new evaluation dataset for GDPval, measuring the real-world economical valuable tasks. And the capability benchmarking, they analyze quality, speed, and the cost of deliverables across human industry experts and frontier AI models. They did this through experience with testing results, shifting the differences of reasoning effort, prompting, and scaffolding along with context. They use open source. By open source, 220 tasks as a part of the gold subset, which included prompts and reference files. They created an automated grader. With the release of automated grader to improve accessibility of grading, and you can see that grading eval at evals.openai.com. So what does this mean for you moving forward? Well, as I've said before, these large language models, they're getting better and better daily, probably hourly or by the minute. But nevertheless, they definitely are changing the way that we work, the way we act, the way we communicate with others. So what are your thoughts on these GDPval benchmarks? Do you agree with them? What's your experience? Tell us in the comments below. And thank you for watching. Be sure to hit that subscribe button and toggle that notification bell so you won't miss out on the next useful AI hacks video. We launch them daily. So we'll see you tomorrow.